Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong says cooperation between Singapore and China is especially valuable in a more uncertain and troubled international environment. Mr. Lee met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. Singapore's Foreign Affairs Ministry says both reaffirmed the excellent state of relations since ties were upgraded last year. They also expressed satisfaction on the trajectory of cooperation and reaffirmed the commitment to pursue new collaborations. The ministry says President Xi updated Mr. Lee on China's domestic and external priorities. They also exchanged views on regional and international developments. Mr. Lee expressed confidence in China's long-term development potential. Both sides also reaffirmed the importance of maintaining peace and stability in the region and a free and open international trading system. Olivia Siong has more on this stop of Mr. Lee's 6-day visit to China.
A familiar handshake, but in a different capacity. Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong met and was later hosted to dinner by Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Diaoyutai State Guesthouse. This is his first visit to China since handing over the reins as Prime Minister. Mr. Lee said ties between the two countries have continued to strengthen since his previous visit in March last year. When they met then, both sides agreed to upgrade bilateral ties. Mr. Lee said he's glad Mr. Xi met his successor, Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, on the sidelines of the APEC summit in Peru earlier this month. Before that, both sides also held their yearly APEC forum, the Joint Council for Bilateral Cooperation in Singapore, where 25 agreements were signed. Mr. Lee pointed out that such cooperation is especially valuable amid greater uncertainties in the world. While he did not mention specific countries, this comes as China and the US have faced strained relations in recent years.
Tensions between major powers have intensified. Countries are emphasizing national security, supply chain resilience, instead of economic integration and international multilateral cooperation. And it makes it all the more important in such an environment for like-minded countries, big ones as well as small ones, to work together to develop our cooperation to the best of our ability for the benefits of our peoples.
Mr. Lee visited China 14 times as Prime Minister. It's something Mr. Xi alluded to in his opening remarks, calling Mr. Lee an old and good friend of China. As the Suzhou Industrial Park marks its 30th anniversary, Mr. Xi said this has set an example for bilateral cooperation. The project is the first government-to-government project between the two countries. Mr. Xi said this was also an example of Singapore's deep participation in China's reform and opening up.
去年我们共同确立了中心全方位、高质量的前瞻性伙伴关系。 为两国关系发展明确了战略方向。明年是中心建交35周年，要进一步加强发展战略对接，深化各领域合作，为两国人民带来更多的福祉，为地区和平和繁荣做出新的更大的贡献。
Earlier on Tuesday, Mr. Lee also met the chairman of China's top political advisory body, Wang Huning, at the Great Hall of the People. They also met during Mr. Lee's visit last year.
We have very good people-to-people ties, which we have continued to build on. For example, we have introduced a 30-day mutual visa exemption agreement, which we implemented this year in February during the Spring Festival. I'm happy to see the continued strong momentum of high-level exchanges between our countries.
Mr. Wang said he believes Mr. Lee will continue to play an important role in his new capacity in promoting friendship between the two countries. Singapore and China mark 35 years of diplomatic ties next year.
中方愿意以此为契机，同新方保持密切的高层交往，加强各领域的务实合作，增进人民友好情谊。 推动中新关系取得新进展，为两国各自国家建设提供助力，为地区和平稳定与发展繁荣贡献积极力量。
Beijing is the second out of 3 cities that Mr. Lee is visiting this time round. He's next headed to Shanghai, where he's expected to meet the city's party chief, Chen Zining, as well as Singaporeans living there. Now, the financial hub is of great importance to Singapore. Trade between Singapore and Shanghai has gone up and is the second largest investment destination for Singapore behind Jiangsu province. Olivia Siong, CNA, Beijing.